How are you? Um, this is Allison Solar, your kitchen and bath design specialist and educator. It's been a while since I popped on, so I figured I'd just pop on for a little bit today because I actually have been cleaning up my desk, cleaning up things, everything's always a mess, right? We have to clean up, and I tend to be a little bit on the messy side. And being an artist, I've been diagnosed with artisticness. So I'm constantly doubting myself. I'm very messy. I'm very distracted. I saw a little thing on a Facebook reel about being diagnosed. You've been diagnosed with artistic, and he goes, autistic? No, artistic. So anyway, going through my pictures, photos, I came across a kitchen I did back in the day when I had my retail showroom in Hillside on Hillside Avenue in Williston Park. And then as I was just cleaning up before, like I said, I'm cleaning up, I came across a picture of my showroom, what my showroom looked like. I had a store, a retail store. Isn't that cool? I had that right there on Hillside Avenue. I had a big bathroom in display, had a big kitchen in the display. Um, it was a really cool store, and I had that until we had the Great Recession, and then I was just little small potatoes. But that was a really cool store. I liked my store very much. Those were the days, my friend. Uh, and you never can predict the future. That's why you have to live in the moment. You can plan for the future, but just remember that everything changes. Be ready for the rug to be pulled out from underneath you at any time. So, anyhow, um, I also was going through, I had a magazine. Now, I've been in the business a really long time, and I haven't designed anything. I haven't taken on any retail projects because, I took on one a couple of years ago because it's for a friend. If someone asks me to do it, I will do it for them. But I don't go out there looking for kitchen projects at this time. It's just not where I want to be in my life. What I'm dedicating my life to now is teaching and mentoring and getting the message out of what to do and how to do it. What are you doing, Owen? What are you doing talking about how to do and what to do it? Big baby. He's a big baby. So anyway, I've been in magazines before. So I've been published and I've been published quite a bit. One thing I want people to know, and there's my tag from my store. I would put these out so when people came in my retail store. So if you've been published, you get your magazines. I don't know how many people have magazines anymore, but some people do. I like to have a magazine and sit there and flip through the papers. I think that we don't give up on magazines yet, people. There's something to be said for touching and feeling and being able to rip out pictures and put them in folders instead of just everything on the computer. So anyway, I was published. This was a magazine back in I don't know whenever this was. What was it? When was this? 2005, 2004. When was this one? Volume 12, number 2. It doesn't give you the year unless I covered it up with a sticker. Anyway, this magazine, Kitchen Signature Kitchens and Baths. Now, I belonged to at the time the Senior Executive Network because when I started my business, I was designing for a long time on my own, gone through some personal things, and realized I wanted to have my own showroom. I wanted to be on my own. I didn't want to do and listen to other people. I felt confident that I could do it on my own, you know. Um, but there weren't all the resources that we have available to us today. So one of the resources I did stumble across, one of my sales reps from a cabinet that I took on told me about SEN, Senior Executive Network, and they're a buying group, and they're also a really good group for getting involved. I had their upper tier membership because you would go and have like roundtables with other dealers, and I would um learn like how they're doing it in their industry, what their markup is, what are they doing for customers, how do they get clientele, because we didn't do it through the internet like that. There was no interaction and there was no Facebook group. Now I have the Facebook group, and come on, Manny, get down already. Come on. You really, honestly, get down. Had it so too distracting, these boys. Go, good boy, good boy. Go lay down. Go lay down. See, cats are smart. Also, I waved a magazine at them. So anyway, um, I had this buying group, and I did the more top tier, and you had to go to the conference like once a year, but it was really a great learning experience. It was the best thing because I didn't go to KBIS but you all the time, but you could go, you had to go to this conference, and they had one big conference every year. And like I said, it was just a great experience. So I really encourage anyone who's starting out in their business to reach out and become a part of those buying groups. Just even if you only buy one or two things or never take advantage of what they have. I mean, I've gotten all kinds of product that I still recommend to this day because of going to those conferences that they had. I mean, I don't know if they still do it. I would imagine, because it just was something. And if they don't do it and you're listening to me, I'm telling you to still do it because they're fabulous. But anyway, one of the vendors was the Signature Kitchen and Bath magazine. And, when people tell me that they've been published, I've been published. Been in a couple of magazines. You know why? I had to pay. This wasn't free. They didn't come to me and go, "Oh, would you like to be in our magazine for free?" No, I had to pay. I had to get a photographer. I had to submit the floor plan. I had to write a little something, and I had to pay $3,000 or whatever it was at the time. So anytime someone's been in a magazine, 9 times out of 10, they've had to pay to be in that magazine. That's the way it's always been. And they go, "Oh, I have the front page locked in." Yeah, but that wasn't free. So anyway, this was a kitchen project I did in Manhattan, very contemporary. I really, it doesn't do it justice. The kitchen, what I did, I knocked down walls, moved things around, but it was a really contemporary mahogany wood. I did a gray tile backsplash. I forget what this granite was. I don't really know, but we used the Viking cooktop, the pull-out vent. So that was a fun project. That was the whole penthouse. I did the whole penthouse in that. So anyway, this was how, I've been published before, but again, like I said, a long time ago. I haven't, really focused on anything like that. I've been submitted my stuff to the Sub-Zero Wolf competition. I highly recommend doing that. Get your stuff in, even if it's not taken, you get invited to a party for people that submitted work. So you get to go network with the other people. I know we did that in Manhattan. I got the invitation, and just getting the invitation in the mail saying you've been invited to for having submitted your thing, you're invited to a special event at the A&D building in Manhattan. How lovely was that? I got to have wonderful food. I got to network with people. I mean, that's how you network, is you just go and you show up and you just talk to people. And, all you have to do is smile and say hi. That's it. It's not a big deal. And everybody else feels the same way. Okay. And if people know everybody and, eventually they get to know you. I mean, even still to this day, I see the same people over and over, and they don't recognize me. And I don't take offense to it because, out of sight, out of mind. We meet a lot of people. How can we really remember everybody, right? So, anyhow, like I said, I've been published and I've had professional pictures and stuff like that, but I don't get to take pictures of all of my things. There's a lot of stuff I've never taken pictures of because we didn't have an iPhone where you could get like pretty decent pictures off your iPhone. Now, we didn't have that back in the day. So everything changes, and it's really to your benefit to just take pictures. And like I have an antique picture here printed on, I'm not sure if it's Kodak paper or not. But I have a good old-fashioned 4 by 6, okay? And I like to, you know why I like to have these? Because everyone I like to put them in my drawers so that when I'm going through my drawers, I go through, "Oh, remember that? Something that made me really happy." I have pictures of my grandchildren, not a lot, just a few, but random. That's my thing. So I came across a kitchen that I did back in the day, and this kitchen is very French country. Okay, the style back then was that mocha glaze, brownish glaze, light brown cafe glaze over like an off-white, a cream white. That was very big, the color. And then with the two-tone, with the painted with the brown, painted white cabinets with the brown cabinet. That was really popular. The white paint, the cream color painted cabinets with like a cherry island or an alder island or something, oak or whatever. It was always like that was popular. Not everybody did it. Like today, we have more white with a blue island. We have the backsplashes that go way up and very sleek wood hoods. But back then, that was not the style. And the style was more a little frillier. We were using corbels a lot. I mean, Ankenbull, if you know anything, they went out of business. But back in the 90s, 1990s, and early 2000s, they were extremely popular because everybody, at least here in New York, was doing those onlays and corbels everywhere. So a lot of my kitchens have those embellishments where today they don't use that at all. I mean, maybe things will come back. I mean, everything old is new again. But I did certain things in this kitchen. It's all because of the homeowner. We go through the intake process of asking the questions, right? How do you live? Yada, yada, yada. How much pans? What do you cook? What do you do? What happens in the kitchen? Do you have children? Do you have elderly? All those intake questions so we have an idea of what storage needs our client has, what activities will be happening in the kitchen. So that would affect heights of things, sizes of things, material of things. You wouldn't suggest, something delicate, like a very light marble countertop in a kitchen with lots of children and eight people, nine people in the house, because it's going to take a lot of abuse, and maybe you might not like it after a while, but keep in mind that marble can be refinished. But anyway, I digress. So this particular client had done a extension. Okay, and there was a part of the ceiling that was flat, and then it went up to a cathedral ceiling. And then there was a peak by a big arched window. So there were a lot of design challenges to get everything to line up. And then she wanted that two-tone. And it was a pretty big kitchen, and she wanted a banquette. And no, everybody told her, no, you can't do a banquette. And I looked at her plan, the blueprint, and I looked at it and I said, why can't you do a banquette here? I don't understand why everyone's telling you you can't do that. So I created a banquette. So I thought, you know what? Let's kind of like go through these photos of this kitchen. Let's see if I can share it. Share. And okay, so that should be bigger. So, like here, for instance, do you see this detail over here? I can't get to it on the corner by this. See, look at the details on the hood. Okay, so this hood, I added the onlay, right? I had that added on, the fluting. These were rose corbels. She loved the rolls and this fancy scroll work. These are plain and fancy cabinetry. Um, Beautiful cabinetry. I did the fancy acanthus leaf crown molding up here, so very ornate, very detailed. So she had some books. Um, we have the Sub-Zero 48-inch range, great range. So we had to line up this molding and all for these two cabinets. So how I made the transition, and you have to take in mind where the cabinet ends and how the crown molding ends. So I was able to make the transition of the two areas of cabinetry with this ceiling and that ceiling, and that was all done through math. Okay, that's all done through adding and subtracting. You can't make these kind of adjustments in the field. Okay, you have to make them. The only way you're making any adjustments is in the corner, and even with the corner, my uppers had to be spot on. Okay, so this is all done through math and calculating. So here we had the copper undermount sink. She had a little island sink, and this actually is forest, what is it called, forest green, uh yeah, I think it's called forest green marble. It's a marble, actually, dark green marble. It's gorgeous. And then we have, to tell you how dated it is, if I pull into here, look at this. That was a cutout for a TV screen. A whole cabinet dedicated to a little TV. We don't need that anymore, do we? So anyway, here we had the roses and the fancy things. But what I did in this kitchen, you can't really see it. How I did the brown and the cream and break it up, and I did the little bit of that in and out, and this went in at 12 deep. This is 15 deep. You could see the little bump out in the crown right there, so that we have just a little crown detail and get a little deeper cabinet. And again, just to give it a little detail, we did a little chicken wire in there. And these, now with these shelves, I mean, really, if she wanted to change these to glass and add lighting in them, but that wasn't what she wanted to do, so we didn't do it at that. But I did this. Now, this plate rack thing is something that we don't always do. Okay, very often we don't use this. I've only done this design for a few people, but this is, I designed this unit by combining drawers, that shelf, having a custom corbels, an open display area, closed display area, and the way the crown molding overlaps the two pieces here. You can see, I should make sure I'm sharing. Yeah, okay. You should be able to see, okay, hold on. Where'd it go? Oh, now I lost control because I stopped doing. Let me just stop sharing it for a second. Okay, and let's go back to sharing that. Line, minimize. Oh, what's happening? Wait, here we go. Okay. Woo! Oh, wrong button. So let me get back. Let me get that back up there. Just wasn't sure if I was sharing the right thing, but I think I was. The window. This one. Share. No. Stop sharing. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. There it is. Window. Okay. Let me see this picture. Sorry, guys, just a little hiccup, a little bit. Okay, so this should be able to share now. Okay, perfect. So when let me just go to full screen. Okay, so here we have I showed you this little crown detail here. So again, I had to raise up this area here to give it a fascia and to allow the crown molding to die into it and have it, and it's actually stepped back a little bit here. So every little thing, every little detail was all planned out ahead of time of where everything falls, where everything hits, so that all of this fits in perfectly when they get onto the job site. And here we have that applied panel there, and our chairs. And let's see, we go to the next slide. I did a lot of, again, you could see how, did the up and the down, the in and the out. That was always really popular. But what I was able to accomplish over here was giving her the coffee maker and a microwave oven or speed oven, whatever this was. Imagine so long ago. And look at this beautiful backsplash. We got this from my friend John Tedisco when he owned Fiorano Tile. So look at how ornate this is. I mean, they don't do kitchens like that. And here you could see on the bottom, we added the decorative grill to where the HVAC was coming out. The other side of the island, you could see. So I kind of balanced out the dark, and then you can see the refrigerator. And here I made the banquette. So her kitchen was so big and she really wanted a banquette. She didn't want to put a table here. She wanted a banquette. So I said, okay, I'm going to make you a banquette and I can make it out of panels. If your guy does all the woodworking, he mounts it all, puts it all together. I gave her the plan and I gave her the planks and I had everything made, and the guy fabricated it on site. So again, I had to calculate the height of everything, where it was going to be, plus 1.5 inches for the top. And now she had to have cushions made on top of it. But this was all constructed on site with just some prefabricated, 3/4 by 4 foot by 96 inches, with the grain, vertical grain. So there wasn't horizontal grain. It was a nice vertical grain. And on the other side of that, I gave her so you turn around the other side and there is the desk. So here you can really see that green forest marble, or forest green. I forget what the name of that marble is. Such a pretty marble. But I gave her the desk and she put the cork board here because she did a lot of work from home and she wanted everything in the kitchen. So she worked over here, had her computer over here, and that's where, so there was a lot of limitations in trying to make everything line up exactly with the window that these cabinets, I wonder if they have a picture of it straight on. No. And pantry, 48 Sub-Zero. Big kitchen. Well, if they had a picture of it straight on, these hit exactly by the peak. Again, you had to take them center line and you got to figure it out exactly from the corner to here. And so that's what you do. You go from the corner and you add up your cabinetry and you get the center line of the window and you say, listen, I want to leave, however many inches I have to allow for my molding. I have to allow 4 inches clearance. So I add up my cabinetry from the corner, all the way in the corner to this point here and out, and leaving 4 inches from the window to allow for molding. And I did the same thing. I took 4 inches, minused it, and I made my way out from there. So it's a matter of making, 1 inch from here, getting your middle, dividing it in half, allowing 4 inches, 4 inches, and work your way out to the corner, and work your way out to the corner. So those are the things you need to do when you're figuring out cabinetry and your clearances of everything. How it's going to clear, how's it going to open, where's my fillers going to be, and how is it going to interfere with the surrounding architectural information going on. But this kitchen is old, and I don't think anybody's really going to have this style anymore. And this was a really beautiful kitchen. I did all these details with the spindles. So I wonder, do you think anybody that they're going to rip it out? What would you say? Do you think somebody would keep it, or they're going to come in and want to gut it? These are, like I said, these are plain and fancy cabinets, and they're all really solid wood, raised panel doors, a traditional door frame, door style, just with these corbels and some onlays, really pretty different onlays and things like that. And this really beautiful here, you can see the acanthus leaf molding up in the corner, how pretty it is. Really is pretty molding. So stop my screen share, close that out. So when you're doing the kitchen, you have to it's all math. And I always say get your corner starting point and get your calculator out and you do your math. And if you can't really figure it out, get a pencil and a paper and do it on the computer or write it down by hand. However it is, it's always math. And that goes for the same for the up and down and in and out. It's all math, how high it is. And you start with your overall, and then you subtract, and then you add it back up to confirm whether you've done it right or not, right? Did I add it right? Did I do it right? Double check and triple check your math. Don't think that you're going to get it right. And if you make a mistake, walk away, take a minute, get your mind off of it, take a break, get a cup of tea, go talk to somebody, and come back to it with a fresh mind. And then you'll look at it and you go, okay, let me look at it again. And then it's like a puzzle. Okay. What you're doing is you're figuring out a puzzle. So we're not, before you figure out how you're going to have it look. I mean, she wanted I had to think about what kind of stuff she did. She did a lot of baking. She wanted a desk. She wanted that banquette. She had a 48-inch range. She had the ceiling detail I had to consider. She wanted the dark and the light, and the white. And so what I did, how do I get that dark and light? How do I design it? So you kind of think about it math wise. Like I have a 48-inch range, and you take that, I have a 48-inch range on that one wall up to that line there. And so if my overall is 200 feet, 200 inches, remember we all work in inches, you take 200 inches, and you already know I need to have a 48-inch range in there. So minus 48 right off the top. So now I have 200 minus 48. Got my calculator. 200 minus 48 inches is 152 inches. Okay. So now you go from there. I was doing some spindles. Well, those are 3 inches each. So that's 6 inches. So minus 6 inches. And you do it all from there. And you kind of are manipulating the cabinetry. So that's what designers are doing. Kitchen designers are doing. If you're an interior designer and you're picking out finishes and you're giving it to the kitchen designer to do, what the kitchen designer is doing is figuring out where everything goes, like how many inches and what they want on that side. So the customer says to me, I want uh, drawers. I want big drawers for storage. I want, and my thing is, I like a set of drawers next to the range because I like to have at least a wide drawers, a big drawer and a big drawer, or a bunch of drawers, some pull out things. So you figure out what the client wants. Now, if you want to pull out, I'm thinking I want to pull out, you think, okay, I want to pull out 9, 12, 15. Okay. That's how the biggest I would ever do it is 15. Okay. So 18 is garbage pail. So that, see, the inches equal cabinets. 18 inches equals a garbage pail, or it equals a mixer lift up shelf. Okay. Those are two cabinets off the top of my head that I could think of equal automatically. They need 18 inches. If you want that mixer for your KitchenAid lift up thing, which is, if you don't like it on your counter and it's really heavy to transport, a lot of people like to have it on a that snap into place unit, right? So with that, you need the width of the cabinet, okay? And you also have to have the height to be able to clear. I one time I did a two stack countertop, and the reveal overhang was too little too much, and it when I went to go lift up the shelf, it hit that countertop. So I had to get the contractor back in to cut that shelf so we could pass the countertop to spring up the rest of the inches, and inch and a half or whatever it was to click into place. So it's always thinking inches. If a customer says, I want a double sink, I need 36 inches at least for a sink base. You see, so every time a customer says, or a designer says to you, the client wants a 36, she wants a double sink, immediately it's a 36-inch sink base. So when the client, if the customer or the designer questions you, like, why'd you put in such a big sink base? Or what you could even do is when the designer tells you, the client wants double sink. You could tell the client or tell the designer, listen, that's going to be a big cabinet. Just so you know, I need at least a 36-inch cabinet just for that sink. Okay, just so you know. And they'll understand that sink requires a big cabinet. People don't realize that the sink correlates with the size of the cabinet. You can't have a big sink and a little cabinet. That sink has to drop down in. And sometimes that idea actually doesn't they go, oh, you're right, it's got to go in to one cabinet, and you don't want it to fit in not all the way, because then you're going to have to cut the sides of the cabinets out, which you can do it, but people don't like to do it. They always tell you it ruins the integrity of the cabinet. It depends on the construction, but you really want to avoid having to cut cabinetry in the field. Okay. You want it to be a little bit bigger, because if it's an undermount sink, they got to undermount the sink, and they got to put clips underneath there, and they've got to have clearances to clear to get the clips in there. And if there's a side of a cabinet coming up to where the clip goes, it's just going to screw everything up. So always double check the size of the sink and the size of the sink base required. Sometimes they don't give it to you. But once you understand that you've got mounting clips, you've got something going up inside of a cabinet with a lip on it that needs a clip, you'll realize the guy's got to get up in there and put a clip in, right? If anything ever happened and someone had to get up in there to undo that sink, they have to have access to it. So anyway, it's always a matter of math. And so that, I just wanted to show you that kitchen I did. I thought I got a kick out of coming across it after all these years. I was like, oh, wow, remember that kitchen? So, and here, my little showroom. Wasn't so little. It was actually pretty big. They always say no regrets. don't die. I didn't want to die with any regrets. And my sister had just passed away a few years prior. She passed away in 1999. So very traumatic. So, and having gone through a major medical myself, I was out of work for 6 months. I had lung surgery, I had parotid surgery, I had radiation therapy, and I was young, and it was hard. And that was life changing. And when I had a life changing moment, I realized, I want to do what makes me happy, what makes me satisfied inside, what makes me feel good. What if it doesn't make me feel good and I don't like doing it, or it's negative and I have that feeling inside of me, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I felt I really, really, really want my own showroom. I wanted it so something I really wanted. And I I did it, and I had a beautiful showroom. I probably spent too much money and put too much money into the business because I felt do it, go big or go home. And, you know, in the end, we had a recession and I wasn't prepared for that. And anybody in during the recession of 2008, it was starting to come in 2007. And I opened up my showroom in 2004. So they were really hard times. And, I no longer have the showroom. So, but I was always able to manage because after that it was basically referral. And, I had some really great projects that I worked on that kept me going. But after the showroom, that was really hard. That was very depressing. That was very difficult going through the recession as a new business owner. And, listen, I guess the lesson to be learned is there's always going to be something that comes along unexpectedly. Things happen to you, life gets in the way. Life just keeps rolling. It just goes forward. It doesn't stop. You want it to just wait 1 second and stop, but it doesn't. It just keeps going forward. And we have no other choice but to go forward with it and cope with it. And I'm a very optimistic person because of having gone through. And I'm pretty chill. I guess people go, "Oh, Allison, you're pretty chill." I'm like, I'm chill. I'm chill until I'm not, until, and when I need to be, then when my feathers are ruffled and I need to be, I will be. But for the most part, I like to feel good inside. I like that feeling of feeling good, feeling happy, feeling satisfied. And what makes me satisfied now is helping everybody, teaching, helping, showing, explaining. And anyway, on next Wednesday, we are having in the Kitchen and Bath Design Academy, we're having John Tedisco, who I just showed you some of the tile from his company, Fiorano. We're going to be having him on now. He works for Tile Bar. He was born into the tile and stone industry. I've known him for over 20 years, a long time. Oh my gosh, I think it's 25 years I know him. Boy, oh boy. See what I mean? How time just flies? It just really does. So if you're going through something, just hold on and know it's not going to be that way forever. It's going to change because things just keep going forward and other things just keep happening, and you will cope and you will get through it. And, sometimes what you're going through isn't only just for you, it's for the other people in your life. I remember when I got very sick, just here, go back a second, when I got very sick, and it wasn't sick like sick. It had things growing inside of me. It wasn't visible, but there were things going on the inside. So when I got sick and had to go through that, it was I was young, 36, and I was like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And I prayed. I was like, well, Lord, Tell me why. Show me why. What I don't understand, because it was extremely traumatic. I was going to be paralyzed on my face. I mean, even now my mouth is droopy. I have, the scarring. I have radiation tattoos. I've been scarred for life, and lung surgery. So it was really, really, really something heavy duty. And he told me, it's not for you. It's not just for you, Allison. It's for everybody around you. It's for your friend Anne Marie. It's for your friend Wendy. It's for your friend Sappho. And they all told me, I remember my friend Sappho, she says, I was thinking how terrible, da da da, da, but then I thought my friend Allison is going through something so bad. So I was able to cope with that. And then my other friend was having trouble with whatever her husband, and she says, you know what, that's not so bad. You know what's really bad? And they all used my situation to help them cope with their situation and to put it into perspective. And it did help everybody. So if you're going through something really difficult, know that it's going to work out. It's going to change. It's going to change. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Ain't that the truth? And that's even the kitchen. But what does remain the same is that when you want to figure out the measurements of a kitchen, you got to start with your calculator. You got to go with the diagram. You got to figure out the math. You got to start in the corner. You got to work your way out. You got to double check it. You got to triple check it. Last week we talked about order acknowledgments, and now I'm going to talk about the design. You got to double check it. You got to triple check it and do your math. And I was really proud that everybody she went to told her she couldn't do a banquet, and I did a banquet. So John Tedisco Wednesday, we're going to be in the Kitchen and Bath Design Academy for our members only, or for non-members for a fee. We're going to be talking about tile and stone, like really getting into how can you tell the difference between ceramic and porcelain? Like, there's little tricks to know what material is what material. How do you check? How do we know it's really a marble or a granite? What makes it quartzite? Like, what are the properties? So really going to be diving deep into tiles and stone, and not quartz material. It's all the only tile, ceramic and porcelains, and stones. Okay, natural materials. That's where my friend John is the guru of tile and stone. Like, he'll tell you he was born into it. I think he went to the very first surfaces event in Florida. I don't even know where it was. He did all that years ago. So whatever. So that's going to be on Wednesday, and I'm going to put a link in my website. A link in my Facebook group, or you'll get an email if you want to attend. It'll bring you to the links to the registration and all that kind of stuff. But it is free to the Kitchen and Bath Design members. Now, if you wanted to become a member and you purchase the webinar, that $25 will get credited towards your first month's membership. So anyway, again, I'm doing that Wednesday, the 28th at 12 o'clock noon via Zoom. And that's that. Yeah, people. Okay, great. So have a great day. Peace out. Ciao for now. Love you guys. Thanks for listening.